Good evening, everyone. This is day 1024. 1024. No, sorry. 1204 days. 1204 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. I think I did that on my TikTok also. Um, we're going to burn the midnight oil tonight. Because we are not giving up in this search for what happened to Richard. And things are, I'm going to get on. That is amazing. Get on here. See some. Okay. I am on. Oh, thank you, Anicia. Thank you so much. Good evening to you. Thank you for your love and your prayers. Okay, so let's get started with today's live stream 1024. And I wanted to talk a little bit about um, the dirty agents. The dirty agents. And there's something else I just learned. And I'm going to have to do a whole live stream about it. And it's um, Jay Paulin and Ron Steig, right? Jay Paulin and Ron Steig, and what that all means, because they're good friends. They're very good friends. And maybe I should talk about this a little bit tonight. What we just learned was that Jay Paulin's role in Richard's life, disappearance, and in his case is more than what we ever thought. And that's what it looks like. It looks like he had a huge role to play in this investigation into the disappearance of Richard. I'm just wondering if he got paid to do it. I don't know. But we need to corroborate it, and that's why I can't do a live stream just quite yet on it, because of the information is so sensitive, because it has to do with the 3905 Bliss Avenue and Van Buren Avenue houses, and of course the investigation into our son. Um, and as many of you, well, some of you might not know this, but Jay Paulin was Richard's first sergeant. Okay, Jay Paulin was Richard's first sergeant. And Richard was not inspired by him. Okay? Richard was not inspired by him. Matter of fact, he wanted to leave the military because of the leadership. It was so bad. It was so bad. He did not want to. And this is coming from Richard, the Distinguished Honor Graduate for Basic Training and Advanced Individual Training. If you have not read the screenshots of those soldiers that went through basic training with Richard that were on TikTok, it really is fascinating, because, and if you haven't read the letter from Richard to his grandparents, his Omi and Opie, that is very, very important to see his frame of mind, what he was aspiring, who he is. It is very, very important. And when he got there, the leadership was getting a beautiful, voluntary young man. A young man that was ready, willing to serve his country, and not take advantage of the system, but to really leave the place better than he found it, right? To leave the place better than he found it, to work hard for whatever he got, in an honorable way. You can see that in the letter. You know, this is very hard, he said to um, his grandparents, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it. And, you know, that's just off the top of my mind. But maybe I should bring up his letter that he wrote because I think it is very, very important. And the point that I want to make is when he got in to Delta Battery 143, First Sergeant Jay Paulin was his first sergeant, and Richard was the guidon bearer. Okay, one of the guidon bearers, but you see him in many of those pictures. He's the guidon bearer with Captain Park, and that means he was in um, the room, the orderly room, and where the computer was. And we have testimony about first former first lieutenant, platoon leader Dallas Hart, and the computer situation. Um, yeah, and I haven't really talked about that much, but yeah, definitely. And we have corroborating information about Dallas Hart and computer situations that he was, very clever with computers, um, but he was up to no good. But he was up to no good. He didn't want to um, give back. Okay, that is not what we have heard. So, in our opinion, everything that we have heard, it's just a take. It's not a service. You know, when you go into the military, you serve. You serve, and uh, you know, um, any time in life, in anything that you do, you serve, right? You know, any position. And because we don't focus on that, and that's not part of our culture, well, for some, it's just a take, and how to get, and how to get as much from it. And uh, that's not what Richard went into the military to do. Yes, he wanted to pay for his own schooling. Yes, they were offering the $25,000 enlistment bonus that did entice him, but he did not go in thinking he didn't have to do anything, that he wouldn't have to risk his life, that he wouldn't have to work hard. And he showed that in basic training by being number one. And he showed that in advanced individual training by being number one. And he had told me, don't worry, Mom, it wasn't that hard. But you know what? In the letter, you read the letter, he's saying it was hard work. And I told him, don't say that to me, Richard. I know that it was hard work, and we're going to send you the $500 to match what the Army um, rewarded you with for being the Distinguished Honor Graduate in basic training and AIT. So when he got a phone from my dad for being number one in AIT. So yes, he got definitely rewarded, as anybody that works very hard should. So I just want to make that differentiation, where you can have a criminal history, you can have a criminal record, you can have a mental illness record, but because you belong to a certain group or your parents know certain people, that you can get in, and without the hard work, without the ethics that back up the the awards, the merit, right? That because to become well, to get promoted, let's just say that to get promoted, you have to deserve it. And don't ever forget, I posted this up. Don't ever forget, and I might have made a little mistake in there because I don't know exactly where Lieutenant General Donna Martin, if the whole CID, I have to ask my husband about that, so I will. I'm going to ask him about it to explain it a little bit. But I absolutely know that Lieutenant General Donna Martin was the CID top brass during Vanessa Guillen, over Fort Hood, and over Fort Bliss. I'm wondering if I have to ask about the whole Enrique Roman Martinez and Austin Hawk. Maybe someone can let me know if it's over Fort Bragg or if there was a different top brass for the CID during that time. Because I absolutely know 100% that the CID was not doing their jobs for Enrique Roman Martinez and Austin Hawk either. Yeah. Bloody footprints. Yeah, so there was a lot of missteps everywhere. But let's not forget the very important fact that Lieutenant General Donna Martin was the top brass for Vanessa Guillen, for Gregory Morales, for Richard Halliday. She was it. She's the one that got on the plane to come and stage the task force find Richard Halliday without an operational order, without any accountability. That's what that means. Without any tasks and without any accountability. And you can see that all through the paperwork, or the lack thereof, the lack of signatures, the lack of any formality, that they did not want to be held accountable. So they didn't want their names to be on anything. And that was red flags for us, because if they wanted to be rewarded for solving a case, their names would have to be on the documents, right? In order to get that senior special agent, right? Or, to get that third star or whatever, you would have to show proof with your signature that you were involved. And they did not want that in this case. They did not want their names attached at all to the Richard Halliday case. And so that was red flags that Richard didn't just walk away, because that would be easy, right? That would be easy to find him and bring him in to justice, right? But that's not the case. And with Jay Paulin now being part of this investigation into our son's disappearance, I'll be talking more about that this week. I'm just want to get some corroboration from what I've been hearing, because it's really shocking. But let's not forget that Lieutenant General Donna Martin was in charge of the CID, and she's a dirty agent, okay? And that's not me. That is in the Vanessa Guillen case. She's a dirty agent. Gregory Morales, what happened to Gregory Morales under her watch, and what happened to Richard, and how she handled Richard. To have a stage task force by Richard Halliday without an operational order, no accountability, to sit in the middle of the room on a chair with her legs folded up like an Indian, taking nothing seriously, right? And out of uniform. That is also another display of how they did not want anything to be official, because if it was official, they would have their uniforms on. They would be dressed the part, right? They would be dressed the part, not out of uniform, but they were out of uniform. So, she got a star. She was a 2-star general at the time. She got a star for this. And she got to be the Inspector General of the Army. She is now a 3-star Inspector General of the Army. We have a dirty Inspector General of the Army. That's what we have right now. And she could turn things around. You know, she could do restitution. She could, she's in that kind of situation where she could do right by turning on a dime. But right now, and we are getting from that office, believe it or not, institutional support. But it doesn't change so far. So far, maybe it will. But because she did contact us the day before January 6th, January 5th, to tell us not to go. Which is more red flags, right? Because she knew something was going to happen. And why was something going to happen? A setup, I mean, there's just so many things that I can tell you that make us convinced that she's a dirty agent. And why am I saying that? Because we all know, because law enforcement has now confirmed it, that Marlon Soto was also a dirty agent in charge of our son's case. And we absolutely are totally convinced that he was a dirty agent, that he is a dirty agent over other dirty agents like Tavita Nusa, who gave unauthorized access to Leilani Hart. And Leilani Hart controlled so many things on Fort Bliss because she knew she had control. This is what she was bragging about, that she had control over the CID. And she didn't have to worry about consequences for her misdoings, right? For her chaos, for her harassment, for her assault attacks, and on, for her lying to law enforcement officials. Because not all are dirty, right? And so here she is in law enforcement, and she has to lie to law enforcement. And that's where Anthony Swafford came in, that somebody got on that guard mount and lied to the law enforcement, smeared Richard, misrepresented his case, did not tell them that on July 9th, 2020, that he was exonerated from the setup DUI, that setup DUI involved Jesus Melendez and, the canine cop that, is questionable because, does he have some kind of relation with Belen Rocha, right? And, that it was withheld and misrepresented to the military police on Fort Bliss, um, this possibility that Belen Rocha is the one that called in the 911, the 911 call, and did she conspire? Did she, did she conspire with others, including the canine cop, to set up Richard in a false DUI charge? And, do it in a messy way, and it was a soup sandwich, messy way. And thank God that Richard had a decent judge, because Judge Alma um, Te- Tejo, I hope I Trejo, yeah, Alma Trejo, um, that she looked at the information and she said, there's no evidence. There's no evidence here. And Richard refused to go along with the narrative, to go along with what they were requesting, as far as um, to confess that he was guilty. He never did. He always maintained his innocence. Sorry, y'all. I've been with my 6 grandchildren today, 6 of my 9 grandchildren today. So my voice is a little bit. Let's see if I get a little drink here. Anyway, um, we had a good time. We're getting ready for St. Martin's Day. I don't know if you know St. Martin. St. Martin was the Roman um, soldier that had pity on a beggar and violated his uniform laws by taking his sword and slicing his cloak in half and giving it to the poor beggar that was freezing. Um, I don't know if you know that, but in German tradition, um, November 11th, we celebrate St. Martin's Day. St. Martin comes on a horse, and the children make lanterns, and they go through the town. Of course, it's because it's dark at this time, with their lanterns, and they sing, uh, and recognize the selfless service of a soldier. And of course, this soldier does it for the glory of God, as a Christian. And, so it's a beautiful holiday. I don't know, St. Martin of Tours. Um, I don't know if y'all know about it, but make your lanterns or go get some lanterns and think about the selfless service of a soldier, that he would, give of himself to a poor, mistreated person. So, yeah, that is that's what we're doing. I have a book and everything about it. It's really a beautiful, beautiful story. So you can get balloons and make. I know this is bonus, y'all. This is bonus material. You can get balloons and do, like some flour with water, and do paper mache lantern, and get the little when I was kids, you could put a candle in there, but now you just use little light bulbs and on a stick, and you hang it down in there, and the kids love it. It's and you can even use fine tissue paper. So anyway, so that's why I'm a little hoarse, because I've been talking pretty much all day. Um, so, but it's super important. It's super important to spend time with your family, um, to recognize our saints in the past that, have done good, so much good. That one act was so good that it has lived through history and became a holiday, for us Christians, for not all Christians, but for us, in our family. I even have like a little wood toy about it with a little cape that the wood toy wears, and you can velcro the cape and you split it in half with a sword, and you can give it to the poor person. My grandsons love that. Anyway, so it's really important, the selfless service of a soldier, and not all this dirty agent stuff, because don't forget that Marlon Soto, first and foremost, was a United States Army soldier. And so was Jay Paulin. And so is Donna Martin. And I think people forget. I think they forgot it. They forgot it. Um, because there's a lot of covering up in our son's case. A lot of covering up. And there's so much proof of it with the comments, so many red flags, so many circumstantial evidence, but then we also have the irregularities. Then of course we also have the hard facts, like so many things, like what I've been putting out. Just the stage task force find Richard Halliday. That's a hard fact. There was no operational order. That's a hard fact. That they were out of uniform is a hard fact. They didn't take it seriously. And so we have a dirty agent, Marlon Soto, and I can give you hard fact after hard fact. He was at those meetings, and no one brought up that Richard was dismissed by Judge Alma, Judge Judge Alma Trejo, and no one brought that up. No one brought that up on July 9th, 2020, before he went missing. And so all of the talk that we had to endure, that was trying to belittle our son and turn him into a criminal, was, all a lie. Because the SJA lied to us over and over again. And so I have some things here that I thought were really important, and I'll probably put it up. But just that they did not get rid of that Gomar, I think that is huge. I wonder if I put it here. I don't think I put it here. I wrote down some notes and typed them up. And I will get that. Absolutely. Because I think it's super, super important to know that instead of telling us about the taking underage drinking seriously and that it was punitive, they should have done their research. They should have done their investigation before they carried out continuous severe retaliation against Richard. And but they didn't, which is another red flag, which is another hard piece of evidence that they did not. And I'm talking about Major General Clem Coward and Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick. They did not, because absolutely with Article 15, Michael Roddick could have made a decision. He could have investigated. And the point is that Major General Clem Coward took a role in all of this, and he okayed that one of his soldiers would be unjustly given. And what I mean by unjustly is no investigation. And I'm going to go full circle with this. There was no investigation into the allegations against Richard. And so there wasn't a packet. There wasn't a packet. There's no investigation. And yet there is severe continuous retaliation. This is the weaponization of our system, right? This is the weaponization of our system. And you see that with our key witness. He has been continuously, severely retaliated against without a packet, with no investigation. No investigation. Everything unjust. And of course, because it involves this case that involves a defense attorney that is involved also with the Walmart case. And yeah, it's like the same people. Maybe it's because it's El Paso, but something is wrong here, right? Something is very wrong here. And we want to know the monies. We want to know, we have to follow the money because something is wrong here. That you would have accusers of Richard. It just seems to us that the accusers are part of the setup, you know. Um, and I think, and Belen can, uh, she could discredit this, but just for an example, right? If she's the 911 caller for the DUI, um, and there's no evidence at all for Richard, and when there's no evidence, that means that breathalyzer is questionable. You see, we're getting two stories. We're getting a story that there was a breathalyzer. We're getting a story there wasn't, that Richard refused it, because you can refuse it because it's not admissible in the court of law. And Richard was, of course, taking courses and had spent his whole, teenage years watching one law enforcement show after the other. Okay? So we're getting information that he refused. And the corroborating evidence for that is that the judge found no evidence. Okay? So if he has, if that's not admissible, then either he refused or the breathalyzer was not admissible in the court. You know, um, and the witness statements were not good enough. So I would really like to talk to Judge Alma Trejo. I would really like to talk to her. This is my one of my top goals is to talk to her about our son's case, because there is a witness statement in this packet about the court, about an accusation, and it's very interesting signature. And so I'd like to know a little bit more about that. And just put that in your pocket right now, because what we found out about that signature is very, very telling. Very telling. And so, and also about this canine cop, right? Um, and they didn't tell us, let's say, they didn't tell us that there was some questions that this could be a setup and that it was dismissed. And, um, you know, the, Marlon Soto is a dirty agent. Okay, he's a dirty agent. And Tavita Nusa, absolutely dirty agent, gave unauthorized access to his girlfriend, right? That's dirty. That's just, wow. You're just okay. Um, you have law enforcement agents that are that weak, and they're supposed to secure our country. They're supposed to secure our cities, our communities from crime. They're that weak. Just a roll in the hay, and I'll give you an authorized access to all the files. And it was more than Richard's file, it was a lot of files. So, and tamper with CCTV footage and, take some of them are missing. I mean, this is just a very dirty office, the Fort Bliss CID office. And in May of 2023, okay, so before then, things were, um, well, my father passed away. He was so sick, and they were transferring things to the cold case unit, and just smug about it, very smug about that they were transferring this, and I guess they just thought it was just going to be a cold case, a closed case, and that's it. And nothing more would be done, and we would just be suffering. Let the family just suffer after we abducted, and I'll talk about the abduction too. After we've arrested, abducted their son, interrogated him, tortured him, murdered him, cut him up, you know, uh, you know, we'll just let the family hang. This is how dirty these people are. They're just so criminal. And this is all my opinion, okay? This is not in a court of law. This is all my opinion. After 3 years of seeing document after document after document, living through all the experiences, looking in their eyes, everything, these are dirty people that were hiding a very, very serious crime because they wanted to protect the brand or protect their office or protect their jobs or protect their pocketbooks from, their criminal enterprises and Jesse Waters came out with a CIA agent that said, yeah, um, they have these side deals. What do they call it? These side deals. I have to watch it again because I think it's very appropriate. Um, Matter of fact, let me see if I can even put it on. Um, Maybe I put it up here because I just think it's so appropriate. Because we had the Santa Clara yesterday. No, I think I put it on Facebook. Um, yeah, we put it on Facebook. So anyway, but Jesse Waters says that they have this side deal that they make. They sell illegal narcotics trafficking. They do illegal narcotics trafficking and sell drugs to fund their programs, right, in the CIA. Um, and I'm like, okay, that sounds about right in Richard's case too. So this is like a systemic problem that they have these off the side um, criminal enterprises where they're making some money and to fund whatever projects they're doing, whatever business they have, maybe their houses, maybe who knows what they're funding. So, and they can do it with in this case with Jesse Waters with the CIA, it was all about narcotics trafficking, but it could be, right there in El Paso, Fort Bliss and Juarez, it could be human trafficking, and they don't care. There's no security because they had a 14-year-old girl living in the barracks being prostituted out night after night. And then they were bringing in these young party girls during the COVID lockdown, and Thomas Kane gave them the special passes to get on, right? And they absolutely knew because it was Command Sergeant Major Jerry Jakovitz, who works at the VA there on Fort Bliss, with access to high security files of our veterans and their families' medical and their history. He has access like that, and he's the one that told us about these young girls being brought in, and he wasn't shaking. He was so proud of it. You see, if they're going to give unauthorized access because they get a roll in the hay, if they're getting their fancy jobs that gives them access to sensitive files and information, yet they can be so compromised so easily. I mean, with leaders like this, who needs enemies, right? And this is the problem with our country, that you have the wrong people given these kinds of very important jobs that require a moral backbone, a moral foundation, a loyalty to the country, to the army, to the people, to the land. And all we see here is compromise, compromise, compromise. And so, if let's say a foreign agent wants to come in and give hey, I got a young girl that wants roll in the hay, give me unauthorized access to the files. Hey, um, you know, I mean, this is a national security threat. And if they're willing to cover up this brutal murder of a whistleblower, it shows you how compromised it is, because Richard is a whistleblower and they did not give him the whistleblower status. They did not, because, they could have shipped him out. When he became a whistleblower, they could have given him orders to Germany. They could have given him orders to Korea, right? He would have been so excited. They could have moved him out of there and secured his safety, and then they could have dealt with the problems there at Fort Bliss, right? And made Fort Bliss better. But that's not what they did. What Major General Clem Coward did, along with Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, is they did not do a packet for Richard. They did not do an investigation into the DUI, because they would have seen what what Judge Alma Trejo saw, which was nothing, which was no evidence. And so, and probably more she saw with the setup there. It's very clear once you know who is who. Who is that person that signed their name? Who is that canine cop? Who is he really? What's his background? Who was the 911 caller, right? Once you know who really everybody is in it, and that Richard is a whistleblower, you absolutely can see that it was a setup. And so, thank God he was exonerated. But the problem with that is that he still had Major General Clem Coward and Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick names on the retaliations. And, what were they going to do? Apologize to him? Were they going to restate give him back his ranks and his monies and, some restitution on top of that? Were they going to do that after he was exonerated? Well, I just want to say a few days later, he's dead. He's dead. So what choice did they make? What did they do with him? And, and then somehow they bring in Jay Paulin. Somehow not somehow, but then they appoint Marlon Soto, who's easily compromised, with Tavita Nusa, who's easily compromised. So something is, and are they attached, illegally somehow? Were they making their money on off the side? I don't know. But all I know is that they are dirty agents, and the law enforcement has called them dirty agents, has confirmed that they're dirty agents. And so, you know, to go full circle with this, in May of 2023, the Army appointed, because of the key witness who's an officer of the court, because he came on, it brought new life into Richard's case, because he put in a formal, in his official capacity, um, complaint to the CID and the FBI, and he called us up. So this happened in January of 2023. He called us up and said, 2022, and said, hey, there's leaks. There's leaks. And, so they were just shuffling. What are they going to do? Everything, they just punted, or didn't respond or whatever for the longest. And now, with this retaliation, they decided to start retaliating. Uh, they brought in special agent, their hard hitter, senior special agent, forensic expert, Jessica Veltri. And, she's a dirty agent, y'all. She's absolutely a dirty agent. So why is she a dirty agent? She hasn't even visited Fort Bliss, right? She hasn't even visited the crime scene. And, and when she came in, we had a phone conference with her, and she said very nicely that she would write a summary, and she would give us a summary by the end of the month or the end of the next week. That was in May of 2023. Okay? We still don't have transparency on so many of the questions that we have asked, like Marlon Soto, like Jay Paulin, like Leilani Hart, convicted criminal Leilani Hart, like platoon leader Dallas Hart, like the autopsy reports, and there's so much more. There's so much more. So, like Nadal Baim, like Anthony Swafford. I mean, there's so much in there that, we have been waiting anxiously for her report. And yet, we're in November of 2023, and we still have no report. And so she's pretty dirty agent. And then also, we just got notification from her that it will be coming forthwith, right? That this summary is going to come out, and that we have to, the family of Richard Halliday has to go through and request a Freedom of Information Act, a FOIA request, in order to get it. Now, this is a huge problem, okay? Because that is like her sliding us. She's not real happy that we are, frankly, better investigators than she is. And yeah, exactly. And so she's, denying us our rights of next of kin. There is rights that we have of next of kin, uh, that we get this information without having to request a FOIA. Okay? But they want you to jump through hoops like the CPS. The CPS, we should have had that. We've been waiting years. We have no response from the CPS. They're so criminal. People need to be arrested for this huge, huge delay, because the delay is to thwart justice. because of statute of limitations, right? If they can delay, then they can get beyond the statute of limitations and get away with whatever crime that they're doing. The problem for them in Richard's case is that murder has no statute of limitations. So that's very, very important for all of them to know. How long do you want to kick this can down? Or are they kicking it because, they don't want to go to prison? They don't want to get the lethal injection for those that really, uh, you know, transported and disposed of his remains. Um, yeah. Uh, so she's a very for someone that's supposed to be a forensic expert and not to visit the crime scene, not to go to Fort Bliss, when she even told us in that meeting that, oh yeah, that would be definitely a possibility she could come to Fort Bliss, and she gets all her expenses paid. Also, she's never interviewed the officer of the court, the key witness that put in a CID and FBI uh, report on Leilani Hart getting the unauthorized access, tampering with Richard's file, and with evidence and claims of bodily harm. And there's more, but why hasn't she interviewed? Right? She's supposed to be the lead investigator, and she's supposed to be this big forensic person, and I'm sure she has other training. What is her problem? Another thing too is that we got a message from the soldier that is putting in the request for congressional inquiry, and she in her conversation with him that she was up to no good, told him that our son's case was a closed case. So he contacted us, and we wrote her and said, is our son's case a closed case or an open case? And she said, oh, it's an open case. So what is it? And in this past, she has called it a closed case, and we said, oh, good, then give us the files. Give us the files, and we'll take it from here, right? And she was like, oh, no, it's an open case. So what is it? Because she's acting in her actions like not going to Fort Bliss, not interviewing witnesses and suspects and all of that. She's acting like it is indeed a closed case, and we should get all the files without any kind of delay. And we'll take it from there. So, yeah, that is a huge, huge problem, her inconsistencies. Um, another, and you know what this does is she's a senior. She's a senior special agent. So that means that other agents are looking to her, right? And, you know, our information that we've been getting is that under her leadership, they're acting like Gestapo. They're acting like they're Gestapo. And, you know, I have to use that word because of my German heritage. I don't think we use that word enough, because Gestapo did not look at the people that they were harassing and bullying, or even watching others harass and bullying. They did, even though they were law enforcement, whoever's law it was, they were there to serve Hitler, right? They were there to serve a a man. Hitler's just a man, um, and not their country. Absolutely not the people of their country. And to harass people that did not like what they were doing. And so, I hope that this is not true, the report that came in, because it's not everybody. We got confirmation today again of institutional support. So, and that's because of you. And I hope you know that. We're almost going to touch 3,800 followers on TikTok, which is amazing considering the amount of shadow banning and the attacks that we have gotten on TikTok. And I know there's this big controversy about TikTok, but it's growing. We have been on Facebook at 4,300 for the longest time. And don't tell me that we're not growing, because I'm getting so many more information sent to me. So absolutely, there's something, and maybe that's tinfoil hat stuff. But, I have some friends that are with, that count the numbers of everything. And, they were like, I don't think you have a tinfoil hat on. I think you are right on the money. And so, yeah, we will definitely keep putting in our complaints and moving forward. But we need you. We need you to watch. We need you to share. We need you to discuss things, and that's why, we are taking a risk by saying loud that we have dirty agents in the CID, right? And the big honcho one that's in charge of the IG now. She was rewarded with becoming the Inspector General of the Army and getting a 3rd star, when she should have been stripped of her stars and stripped of her uniform and said, you know what, Donna, go get a different job. And that's being kind, because the amount of harm that she has done, the wrongdoing that she has done to our military, to our country, to our people, it's, yeah, it's so bad. It is so bad. And it's like what Angela Kachurga has done in the media. What she has done is so bad for Fort Bliss, for El Paso, for the extending areas into Juarez, right? Because she's dirty media. She's a dirty journalist. And she should not be getting the public funding when she's dirty, because we depend on our publicly funded media to be neutral, to give us the facts. And she is using her position on our dime to be a political attack dog. And she absolutely knows that we're here, and she does not report on our son's code red. And she aligned herself with Leilani Hart, someone that is not credible, right? She is not a credible source at all. We've had to prove that because of the damage that Angela Kucherga has done to our case and to us as a family. And so we've had to work really hard, spending our time, more of our dimes. I mean, the public is the one that funds KTET. And we've had to prove, and we've proved it beyond a reasonable doubt, that she used an unreliable source to spread false information about a key witness, in this case, interfering and obstructing justice in our son's case. So it's so bad. And, I think that the other institutional help, like what we got today, and I think the public just getting so sick and tired of being taken advantage of, right? We're being taken advantage of using our taxpayers' funds, trusting that they are going to do their part of the deal, right? And be loyal to the people that pay their wages, that give them the opportunity to serve, and yet they are self-serving. And I think that's really important. On the abduction of Richard, because of Richard being involved with Thomas Kane, with Jay Paulin, who seems to be connected to the CID, okay, and the law enforcement investigation jobs now after he retired. So he's first sergeant, and then, seems to be that he wanted to go into that area. So with Leilani Hart in the picture, who always wanted to get a badge, with Tavita Nusa, with Marlon Soto, with Park University and criminology and the CID internship, with this kind of these kind of people around him, and then him making these complaints. And you have to understand Belinda Rocha's family ties and Danae Katzen's family ties, and who they work for and who they're invested in and what properties they own. It's very clear this is all about, and of course the attorneys, this defense attorney involved in all of this, that this is about controlling law enforcement so that they can get away and without any fear in their criminal enterprises. That they don't have to be afraid of anything because they've got the law enforcement community, enough of them, not all of them, but enough of them in their pocket that they can manipulate. They couldn't manipulate Judge Alma Trejo, because if they could, Richard would not have been exonerated. So that's a huge hopeful sign there. But they can control enough. And that's why they've been able to get away with this for so long, as far as the delay in justice for Richard. Because you've got, they had it pretty squared away in all these different agencies to have their infiltrator in there, in the El Paso Police Department, in the CID, in the DES, in Park University, in the VA, in the CPS, in the CYS, in the JAG office, because the JAG, of course, this is the Fort Bliss soldier that wants his congressional, um, his concern, sorry, is that the JAG is working outside of the law, is operating outside of the law. That's the big concern. And then, of course, we have Major General Dirty Major General Eisenhower, who I think, he has to protect these three-star, because, his raider is Bernabe. That's his raider. So, the selfless service is not there with him, and he does not care about his soldiers, his service members, his country. That's very, very clear in all of this, because he's participating in the obstruction of justice in our son's case, the interference and the obstruction of justice in our son's case. That's very clear that Major General Eisenhower is doing that. We have been very, very patient to give him some time to think about what he's doing. But he, no, he's right there, and we have given him, oh man, hard evidence, um, and more and more. So let me read all the comments now and respond. Thank you so much, Grace, for coming on, for your love and prayers. Danielle, thank you so much. Tammy, sending prayers and still sharing Tammy's missing person site. Thank you so much. Um, thank you so much. I can't. It's all about you. Um, to make this a better country, and our military safer, secure on their own installations. Okay, um, and to protect the taxpayers, right? Okay, so Danielle, you can request a CAD report from police. It is public records, and it will give the name of the caller. Okay, very good. I'm going to write that down, because we do have an open records request for the El Paso Police Department. We've been waiting. We've been waiting. It's very interesting. They rather break the law than give us the 911 caller. They rather break the law than give us the CPS reports. They rather break the law than give us the accounting, the monies of what they spent on this case and on the Walmart case. Um, the Patrick Crucius defense, right? Because there is a connection now between the Patrick Crucius defense and Richard's case. Um, who was defending Leilani Hart? Who was defending this some other of these people? I want to make sure before I drop the names. Um, it looks pretty sure. The timing of the call, who called, and all who responded to the scenes. It's dispatch. And we did get this whole paper that we paid $75 for it. Okay. Um, it's not like we got it for free. We paid $75, $73 for it. Let me see what my husband paid for this. Is it right here? Oh no. What did I do with it? Oh, anyway. So, yeah, we paid over $70 for it. That's for sure. Um, it's different from the police report. Oh, okay. The dispatch log. And I think I did put that in there, or my husband did, in the open records request. Um, but we will look at that again. Thank you so much, Danielle. Maybe you should put that in the bill. Families of missing soldiers shouldn't have to file FOIA to get information into the disappearance of their loved ones. Absolutely. And we're working on the bill. Thank you for bringing that up. It's very, very important. Um, Yeah, so I will keep you updated on that.